Hey there, everyone. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Tyler here with your movie fix. Hope everybody is staying safe, staying healthy during this whole quarantine thing going on around the world. But a lot of big news that's happened in the last few days, and I gotta apologize for this video quality. This is very off the cuff. I don't really know where all of my equipment is. I've since moved, if you can't tell. I am now in my house. Um, and this is in my office right now. And so you got to wonder, what are we going to talk about today? Only something that I was hoping that I could one day get to talk about on my channel years ago. That we are finally going to be getting Zack Snyder's Justice League, and this has been an absolutely crazy day, a crazy few days actually for the fans, for DC fans, for Zack fans, for fans of Ben, for fans of Henry, that entire universe, because there was so much that happened there that really just turned into a tragedy for the fandom. It was a tragedy on personal levels for Zack, and really for the cast and crew and everybody that worked so hard on the whole movie. Um, but to have a franchise like that just pretty much stop dead in its tracks, and we were kind of moving forward. We were doing things with Shazam. Aquaman was already set in motion. We got Birds of Prey. I'm not here to trash any of those or anything. I enjoyed all of those movies, but there was a very clear distinction on what the DCEU was, what the Snyderverse was, and where that was going. And after before really Justice League even came out, we knew where this was going. When as soon as those reports came that he was stepping down and they were bringing Joss Whedon in, uh, I I tried to stay optimistic. I tried to stay hopeful, but that was a really hard task to do. And the history wrote itself whenever it came out. The audiences spoke with their wallets, and did Warner Brothers learn? That's still kind of up in the air whether Warner Brothers proper learned. So let's kind of take the past, set it to the side, because we've got big things coming in the future, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what kind of happened with this release. How did it happen? Um, what does it mean for the future of these movies? Movies. What does it mean for that? And I want to talk about some rumors about this whole thing. So, 2 days ago, there was a Man of Steel live watch party with Zack Snyder from his little home theater there in Pasadena. I did watch that live. I watched the other one, the Batman v Superman live watch, or the Ultimate Edition with him. Both events were really, really cool. No mystery. I love both of those movies, two of my favorites of all time, for many, many reasons. But Man of Steel, that level of hype back in 2013 is really only comparable to now that we're getting the conclusion of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So at the end of the Q&A, or at the end of the movie, I should say, Henry Cavill shows up, and they do a Q&A with the fans. It was kind of some pre-screened stuff, obviously. But when Henry shows up, this is the first time that Henry has really showed any support or really any true acknowledgement of Zack's cut of Justice League. He's kind of said very, very passing things, very political about it whenever he was asked during the press for The Witcher, which he was playing it smart because there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. There was a lot of deals going on with Zack and with Deborah, and what was going to be happening with Justice League, all the way back till November. So for those of you that were there for it, I haven't been doing the YouTube thing for a lot of reasons, but I feel like this might be a good time to kind of step back in. I've been active for the release the Snyder Cut thing, the movement. I've been very active on it on Instagram and Twitter. I feel like I did, I kind of felt like I did my part back when I did my fan edit of Justice League. Now, 2 years ago, I released that in 2018. I did what I could to raise awareness for what happened to the production. But the fandom, the movement has come so far away from where we began there. So in November, we had our week-long trending event for Release the Snyder Cut. This was something kind of set up and organized in tandem with some of the people from the Release the Snyder Cut Twitter, as well as the TPZ Team Pro Zack on Twitter. If I'm getting some of those tiny details of a specific person who was doing this behind the scenes, I apologize. Regardless, Zack was working with the movement. He was working with the fans and setting this up kind of behind the scenes. And so every day of the week, we were getting new images, something of Cyborg, of Ben as Batman, Gal. We got a look at Superman, Aquaman, Jason Momoa was going crazy. Everyone, and then on this last day, the last day of that week-long event, Zack, Jason, Gal, Ben, Ray Fisher, Ray Porter, Darkseid, many people, everyone but Henry, were pretty much using the hashtag. They were showing their support. A lot of other cast and crew members. This was a worldwide trending event, over 1 million mentions on Twitter. And, there were a lot of people who kind of scoffed at it. And there were a lot of people, while it was happening, they're like, what is this? How is this even happening? A 2-year-old movie that failed. This doesn't make any sense. What are you guys asking for? This is so stupid. It's what we've heard over and over again for years. If you've been a fan of these movies, you just kind of learned to endure that. But obviously, that endeavor paid off. Here we are, several months later. The deal has been signed. It's happening. We are getting Zack Snyder's Justice League. That is just, it's so relieving. I mean, to look forward to it, to get what we got, and then just kind of think, we're probably never getting it. We're probably never getting it. It's filmed. It's there. We're so close, and we can't have it. But there was the chance. There was always the chance that we could have it. And Zack and many of the other cast and crew members stoked those flames, and they kept the dream alive, really, and that's where we are now. So what had been happening behind the scenes, and I've gotten some of the articles here pulled up, and I've read through them a couple times. What happened behind the scenes in November is that giant fan push, which it had been going on for longer than this week in November. It was going on for quite a while, but this was like the push. Guys, like, make it happen. Show Warner Brothers, show HBO, AT&T, that there is an audience, there is a demand. You guys have a product here that people want to see. So they made that happen. Negotiations pretty much started in November for Zack and Debbie to get that going. Toby Emmerich pretty much came to them. He's like, we've got a shot at this. Can we make it happen? And they got to work on that. And they didn't actually have a screening of Justice League to show the executives and analysts and VFX guys what they had until February, just this year. So that's when they got a group of executives together. They got a bunch of VFX people, some analysts to look at it. What is this going to cost? And they've thrown out the number 20, 30 million. The number is irrelevant. It really does not matter, because even if we go off of that 20 million is less than 10% of the total budget for Justice League. That's, people are like, oh, that's outrageous. See, it wasn't finished. If they need to put 30 million into it, like, come on, 30 million, less than 10% of the budget. There are TV shows that get over $100 million budgets. Like, that's a drop. But why that number doesn't matter is because the deal is done. The AT&T and Warner Media CEO, they believe in what Zack is doing. They took a look at everything, and they'll give him what he needs to finish it. Are they going to let him balloon this up to 100 million? Hell no. That's not going to happen. But it also, it doesn't need that much. That was the whole purpose of bringing all these people out. So he showed this cut of Justice League that was in black and white, because he's been teasing all the images in black and white. Um, and there's some things that I want to get to a little later that are part of the rumors that I you can treat them as rumors. I'm treating them as fact. Um, with who the source was. So he showed Justice League and pitched it into chapters. Um, the movie is going to be broken up, maybe, but whether we get it as a full feature length thing, as in 3, 4, 5 hours, let's probably lean closer to 5. I'm going to lean closer to 5. It would be broken up anyway. It's going to be broken up into chapters. Think like Seven Samurai, a film that greatly influenced Zack's Justice League, but also like more of a modern kind of thing. Tarantino, he does it all the time. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Kill Bill, like Pulp Fiction, Django Unchained. Those are all, they're split into precise chapters. Here's the beginning and the end, just like a book of this story. It weaves into the next chapter. So that's the only way you can do this story. What he did. When you have a close to 5-hour epic story, you have to split it up. This isn't going to get a theatrical release. I mean, that would be insanity. That's not really going to happen. So that was all happening in February. They were hashing out the details, and then basically, a week ago, they were there. They were signing the deal. It's done, guys. Like, we won. This is for the fans. If you don't believe in Zack's vision, if you didn't like his movies, this isn't for you. None of this was for you, because if we listened to you for all of these years, we wouldn't be getting this project. This isn't I fixed the movie, guys. I fixed the movie. Everyone can enjoy it now. That's not what he did. This is a project for the fans. This isn't for the people that disliked his movies. This isn't for the people who dislike him as a director. He's not trying to prove somebody wrong that I can do it. We know he can do it. It's no mystery. People who like him, they like his movies. We're not delusional. We don't think that everyone loves them. We understand the divisive nature of his movies. That's why we appreciate them. We appreciate the bold choices and decisions that he takes, his characters and stories, and that's why we are so damn excited to be getting Justice League. You guys really have no idea what is going to be happening with this HBO Max deal. So that's kind of where we were at a week ago. Within a week, whatever, they signed the deal, and there have been a few people that have known this in the trades. Grace Randolph, she's the one who actually has been supporting this for a long time. She was telling people on Twitter, and the usual suspects from Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, whatever, Humberto Gonzalez, they're all like, nope, it's not happening. We reached out to Warner Brothers. They said it's not happening. I want you guys to realize this, that they had bad sources or no sources, and were purposely stoking, they were trying to poke the bear to get more information out of Zack, because every time something big happened, Zack would kind of provide some more proof. But the reason that their sources are bad, they were getting wrong information. That's just what it was. Somebody didn't want this to come out. And please realize that over the course of this 2.5-year thing, not a single time was Zack's Justice League ever acknowledged by a named person from Warner Brothers. They never once acknowledged it on any social media. There was never a press release to talk about it. No one ever once came out and definitively said, no, it's not happening. So why people thought it was so impossible of a task to make happen, I have no idea. They said, oh, see, this report from Variety said that it's not happening. But the reports from Variety were unnamed executives, sources close to the film said this. There were people who were probably part of Joss Whedon's production that didn't want that egg on their face, and now it's there. They've got it. But Grace broke this story along with the guys over at The Cultured Nerd and Lightcast, my bad, I think it's Lightcast, which I've recently been getting into some of their content. And I just want to say they have a perfect track record, and that's going to kind of segue me into the future of DC movies on HBO Max, and what these rumors are. Like I said, take what I'm about to say as a rumor. I personally believe it based on The Cultured Nerd and Grace Randolph. And whoever Grace's source is, they were in the room, basically. They were in the room during Zack's negotiations. So there's no reason not to believe whatever she knows. And Lightcast, I'm not really going to go into who their sources are. You can feel free to check out their content at Lightcast on YouTube and Twitter. But they had a lot of very interesting things to say. And there was an article that they put out, an exclusive, last night. I'm going to kind of just read the highlights of this. Zoic Studios to work on the VFX for the Snyder Cut and the Ayer Cut. And this is a really, really big deal here, because we had kind of known about David Ayer's Suicide Squad, but those two movies, Justice League and Suicide Squad, were like the big sores on the franchise. Those were the result of Kevin Tsuchihara, of Jeff Johns, of the panic, the absolute panic that they created with Batman v Superman. So Batman v Superman released. There was a mixed bag of reactions. It was mixed. Look at the audience reactions. Look at the way that movie is still talked about today. They panicked on Batman v Superman, and they were pretty much getting ready to ramp up production on Justice League, and they told Zack, like, you have to change all this stuff. You can't do this now because of what happened. And the same thing pretty much happened with Suicide Squad, because Suicide Squad was supposed to very, very closely tie in to Justice League. It was supposed to be a seamless kind of thing, like Man of Steel tied in very seamlessly with Batman v Superman. That's what they were originally doing, and there was the whole thing with the trailer park company that edited, created the final edit of David Ayer's movie. So Warner Brothers ordered the reshoots. He still did the reshoots for Suicide Squad, but this wasn't something he wanted to do. That wasn't the collaborative effort that him and Zack and those other Patty Jenkins, that's not what they created. So these two sores on the franchise, Justice League and Suicide Squad, were created as a result of their panic to Batman v Superman, which I say that this is their fault because, a month before the movie came out, we got the report that there's actually going to be an R-rated extended cut of Batman v Superman. It's going to be 30 more minutes. And I read that, and I'm like, well, that's the movie. That's the real movie. If you're telling me you cut 30 minutes out, that's important. That was a lot of important stuff, and it was. I walked out of Batman v Superman kind of understanding those reviews. I still loved portions of it, but from a narrative perspective, I got where they were going. I could fill in the blanks. But 30 minutes is a lot. And so they creatively made Batman v Superman suffer. And when you've compromised it at the fundamental level, that's where it's going to show with the receipts, with the box office sales. It's going to show with the audiences when they don't really get the motivations of a character. They don't. Why is this happening? Why did that happen in the plot? What is this subplot? Why did this character do or say this? So much of that is cleared up in that Ultimate Edition. Which, funny, Zack's like, that's the director's cut. They wouldn't let me. He said they wouldn't let me call it that, because they didn't want it. They didn't want people to think that, they didn't want that. But they didn't. They didn't want that in theaters because they wanted to squeeze in one extra showing a day, and it hurt them. But really, is 878 million worldwide, is that a bad number? Hell no. I don't think the money was really an issue. on top of being one of the highest selling Blu-rays of all time. Uh, just checking the time on this. Um, I don't really think that that was the real problem. There was a panic. There was the overreacting from the Warner Brothers suits, and we know it shot them in the foot. It shot them in the foot on Suicide Squad, and big time on Justice League, which suffered just massive, massive creative changes that are unforgivable. And it was unforgivable because nobody let them live it down. The day that movie came out, it has been an incessant effort on the fans to let them know that's not okay. What you did was not even close to okay. What the movie you tried to sell us, that you advertised, was nothing like what we got. And we know that there is something else. We know that there's more. So back to the Lightcast and the Cultured Nerd in this article that they put out about David Ayer's Suicide Squad and Justice League. So um, Zoic Studios is going to be working on the VFX for that. As far as Justice League is concerned, they're going to be handling the additional photography. Yes, John Campia and others, they are doing additional photography. I know they saw the report about actors coming in and doing voice work. They are shooting footage. We've heard this straight from the source, from Zack, that they're going to be recording some of the Martian Manhunter portions that he needed from Harry Lennox, and also something cool with Superman, Batman, and Lois. But that was then. We know there's probably going to be a few more things that are going to be done, but the Zoic Studios are going to be handling any of the reshoots that he's going to be doing. They're going to be handling the polishing of the whole the product, as well as they're going to be doing the black suit conversion for Superman, because they filmed everything in the blue suit, but the intention was, or at least the original intent creatively while doing the movie, is he wanted it to be the black suit. This color conversion is easy fix. That's not an issue. But bigger than that, they are going to be handling Steppenwolf and the Parademons and restoring them to their original kind of Geiger-esque, scary designs. And just fuck yeah, that's just awesome. It's going to be going back to the look that we were teased in Batman v Superman. So that's all wonderful. We know who's handling Justice League, and that was also something really cool in the original report from Hollywood Reporter and Warner Media, that they have all this content for Justice League and Suicide Squad, but we'll get that. But they have nothing for HBO right now. VFX Studios, there's no movies to really work on, and they're using Justice League also to provide work for these VFX houses, and that's awesome. So they've got a lot of work ahead of them. And more than that, David Ayer is indeed getting his Ayer cut, the original version of Suicide Squad, going under production name Ayer Wolf. The film will feature Enchantress's original plot with the Mother Boxes and Apocalyptians, as well as the deal she made with Joker in the third act. Ayer's Suicide Squad will pave the way for Steppenwolf's arrival in Zack Snyder's Justice League. They have also been hired for the Suicide Squad. They expect their work on this film to take approximately 9 months. That's quite a while, because they've got a little bit more work to do. But a lot of people don't really understand the extent of reshoots that happened on Suicide Squad. And there were pretty massive changes, and that's why it's going to take 9 months. But David Ayer did have his own cut of Suicide Squad. He filmed everything pretty much that he needed. They may need to do some minor things, like Zack needs to do minor things. But they're going to create the version that was more like the teaser trailer that we got for Comic-Con. More in line with that tone, that it's going to be a more darker, character-driven kind of study with the action stuff. It's going to be there, but it's not going to be rather the soulless thing that I would say was the theatrical version of Suicide Squad. And also Diablo, from what I understand, did not die in David Ayer's cut. So Diablo was like, the fan favorite of the whole movie. So that'll be really interesting. And I don't think that David Ayer's Suicide Squad has any impact on James Gunn's Suicide Squad, because really the team rotates. It doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. We already know Harley is going to be in the new one, so what's that? I'm really looking forward to that. But something else that the Lightcast had talked about in their podcast, where they pretty much just spilled the beans on everything that they've been sitting on. And keep in mind that they had access to original scripts. They have some sources inside. Like I said, they have a essentially perfect track record for this, and that is why I'm taking it as fact. And that fact is that we are going to be getting closer to Zack Snyder's entire 5-hour assembly cut of Justice League. Not the 214-minute one, not the 3-hour and 30-minute cut of Justice League that is closer to total completion. That was his actual director's cut. We're going to get the assembly cut. So really, this guy filmed, even more footage than that. Think of all the takes. It could be, a dozen. It could be 24 hours of footage. That's all multiple takes. Movies have a massive amount of footage. But I also want you to keep in mind that, Ray Fisher and Jason, I think Jason was also, he said something about this, that, Zack filmed enough for 2 movies. What does that mean? It means that 5-hour assembly cut is Justice League 1 and 2. That's what they're flat out saying, Lightcast and Cultured Nerd. That's what it is. That Zack filmed in tandem Justice League 1 and 2. Really, it for continuity reasons, but it's so much cheaper to do that. It really is. I believe the Hobbits did that, and Lord of the Rings did that. Superman 1 and 2, they did that. That is insane. That is insane, guys, that we would be getting David Ayer's original cut of Suicide Squad, not just Zack's original version of Justice League with restored designs, restored scenes, everything. None of the reshoots, none of the Danny Elfman music, and both parts. 2-part Justice League 5-hour epic. Now this comes with a lot of implications of what about Justice League 3. We will see. We'll see about that. But really, so he screened the black and white assembly cut, not the director's cut. He screened the 5-hour assembly cut to the executives. And that's where they came in and said that this is how much we're going to need. They all walked out excited. They believe in what he's doing. They're letting him do what he needs to do. They're letting him go back and film what he needs to film, and they're going to leave him the fuck alone, which is what they should have done in the first place. We've seen Zack get burned so many times. Sucker Punch, his director's cut has never been out. He says he doubts they'll ever let him put it out. Watchmen received, 2 or 3 other cuts, but they wouldn't let him put his director's cut in the theater. Why? I don't know. Were they expecting, $1 billion in 2009? No. So why not just let the movie run for 30 more minutes? I don't fucking know. It made no sense. But then, what happened on Dawn of Justice, they just never really learned. So why are you going to hire the guy that loves to tell these long, epic stories and then never let him put it out in theaters? And then when people say, oh, he can't make a movie, they never let him put out his movie, the one that he wrote and structured and directed very purposefully to be told in long-form storytelling. So he screened this black and white cut to be like Seven Samurai, and Seven Samurai is split up, like we said, into the chapters. So it was probably 4 or 5 chapters, very long, and that's how they can split it in an episodic manner on HBO Max. Do they need to do this for weekly content? I don't know that they really do. Netflix drops shows all in one go, and that doesn't really hurt their subscribers. I mean, really, what is what is one movie versus 6 episodes over 6 weeks? That's still a month or two of subscription. People who are wanting to see that are paying to support it. They're paying to support the movie, and they want to pay. They want to support more. They want to get more. They want Justice League 3. We want his 5-story arc. But I am personally believing everything that the Cultured Nerd has said. And guys, I am not normally one. If you've ever watched any of my old videos, I would speculate. Sure, I'll entertain a rumor. Some of them, if they're not flat out, crazy. But this is from Zack. This is from his crew. These are all clues and breadcrumbs that have been left for years. We are going down the rabbit hole to Wonderland for his just epic 3-part long ass Justice League story. And I don't know that it could have gotten better than that. This is the best timeline. Thanks, Flash. Thanks, Ezra, for doing whatever you did on the CW, because now we got this. That's how it feels. We could have never ever have gotten the 3-hour cut of even the 3-hour, not the 3.5. We couldn't have gotten a 3-hour or a 2.5-hour version of Justice League in theaters. The original report from Hollywood Reporter said that he had a cut done back in early 2017 or late 2016. He had a cut done, and it was about 2 hours and 20 minutes. It was still too long for them. So he cut down 5 hours of footage. But if you want to say that was, back half of Justice League 2, let's call 3.5 or something. He still cut down all the way to 2 hours and 20 minutes, like for a movie that he intended to be seen as 5 hours. And they told him, we need more. We need you to cut 20 minutes more because we need more showings. We need it to be under 2 hours. We need the first Justice League movie ever. We know that you were kind of crafting this epic thing, but can we cram it into about an hour and 49 minutes? Because that'd be really cool. It wasn't cool at all. It wasn't cool the way they shoved him out of production, basically. Thanks, Jeff Johns. And Grace Randolph had, some things to say about that a lot of this is Jeff Johns' fault, pretty much trying to take advantage of the situation. Thinking it would be a great opportunity to work with the Avengers director, and he kind of got in the ear of the executives and convinced them that it was a better idea to go with Joss. And the report from Hollywood Reporter about the Snyder Cut coming out, they said that those executives, they regretted not testing Zack's movies with audiences. They never even let it get that far because they took Jeff Johns, the chief creative officer of DC Comics, they took his word that what he was doing was wrong. And we see the history of it, who was wrong. Everyone involved with the decision to get rid of Zack was wrong, because here we are. And not to mention all of those people, except for Toby Emmerich, I don't know his degree of it, but today he gets to be a hero. He gets to be a hero. He reached out to them, let's make this happen. Can you guys do it? But Kevin Tsuchihara and the others who did this, where am I at? Long video. They're all gone, and there's a reason they were fired after Justice League, because they fumble fucked the hell out of this whole franchise. The DCEU, they shot themselves in the foot on BVS. They still bled out on Suicide Squad, and then they just fell over dead with Justice League. That's what happened. And they tried to throw Zack under the bus along the way, but and people called the fans like crazy, but we could read between the lines, and then the truth all came out. That's where we're at today. So, the Lightcast did a video on it. I'm not even going to talk about. I just can't at this point. It was so much to take in. Sorry, very tired. My mouth is dry. Everything they're going to be doing with Justice League, they took a big Q&A. They just spilled the beans. They were taking questions about Green Lantern, about Martian Manhunter, about the nature of the cut, the whole 5-hour thing. That's it. It's going to be 5 hours, guys. We're going to get Justice League 1 and 2 on HBO Max put together as one epic thing. We're getting that. And David Ayer's Suicide Squad originally, it's happening. So that's amazing. We could have never had this in theaters. We could have never had this with Warner Brothers proper and those executives calling the shots. It was never going to happen. So Jason Kilar over at Warner Media and whoever was handling things on AT&T side, they see the value in having a different product that Zack had to offer that wasn't the MCU, basically. You know, I love the MCU for what it is. I think they make good movies. They don't resonate. They don't make me feel the way that DC movies do. They really don't make me feel like the way that Zack's movies do. And that's the same for hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people. You know, it's the same way, and we've shown that over the years with our support and our love for Zack and his movies, for Deborah, for their whole team, their whole family that they work with on every single movie. We showed the support, and it paid off, guys. We won. This is it. This is what we were waiting for. I heard that news when it dropped on the Man of Steel thing. I screamed. I didn't cry, but damn, I was excited. The night before, I couldn't sleep. I stayed up till like 4 in the morning. I woke up after sleeping for like 3 hours. And then I watched the live stream with Zack, and we got the announcement that I have been waiting for, since like 2014. I've been looking forward to this shit ever since he was announced that he was going to be doing Justice League. Like, it's insane. Like, even now, I had to make this video. There's shit I had to talk about. I've been awake for about 32 hours right now. I got off work this morning. I was listening to the podcast, and I was like, this is so much. There's so much to talk about. There's so many things that I feel right now about Justice League. I'm so appreciative for everyone who helped make this happen, who kept Justice League in the zeitgeist, basically, who kept it in the limelight on social media, who pushed for this. This is a dream come true. Being a fan of Zack's, for Watchmen, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman. Like I said, some of my favorite movies of all time. I've loved every single movie that he's done, but those three, they do something to me, and they do something to a lot of people. But we're getting it. This is great news, guys. It's time to celebrate. We might be a year away from its release, but if anybody's gonna try to shit on this party, they're gonna try to ruin it. It doesn't matter. The deal is signed. It's done. It's happening. Whether they want to shit on it, let them. Just let them do it, guys, because that's what got us in the mess. And AT&T and HBO, Warner Media, I'm sure they're aware of the situation, and they don't care because they believe in Zack's unique approach to the movies. They want to have a unique content to offer that isn't more of the same. So that's it, guys. I'm sorry this was a bit of a long video. I'm sorry about this kind of setup I got going on here. I was using this. It may have been distracting. I don't think I'm going to throw up any graphics and all that. Maybe just a quick photo. But I had to put something together. This is going to be such a long video. Am I back? Am I going to be covering this again? My channel was based on the DC universe, really. Like, yeah, I love movies. I do. But what happened to Justice League, what happened to my favorite franchise, it broke me. It did. It broke the hell out of me. And I had a hard time looking forward to movies that I otherwise would have. But to not have that ultimate, holy grail of a movie to look forward to know what happened to it, it was fucking depressing. It really, really was. And to know that we're kind of back on track on the hype engine, release the hype engine. That's where we are now. We're getting blasted by the Volcano Hammer hype engine right now for Man of Steel. And I couldn't be more happy that this is where we are. So will I continue to make content updating on where this is going? Am I going to talk about other movies? I think so. I'd like to. I'm currently in the middle of building my home theater. If you follow me on Instagram, you see that. Like I said, I'm in my house now. I'm out of my apartment. I've got a house with my fiance, who I've been with for a very long time now, like 5.5 years. It's a long time. But we got this house, and I'm building a amazing home theater just so I can enjoy these movies that I love. And I was doing it before this Justice League started, before Zack Snyder's announcement came, and now I get to enjoy that in my home theater. And I started this weekend. I started it with my best friend Austin last weekend. We broke ground on my home theater, and I was like, dude, there's all these rumbles going on. He's also a massive fan of the franchise, massive Ben Affleck Batman fan, so he's kind of been in the know also with everything that's been happening. And it was just the best thing to get started on this home theater, and then to get the news of Zack Snyder's Justice League coming out. Great time to be a DC fan. Great time to be a film fan. Everyone wins in this scenario, unless you're weird and you hate seeing people get their creative endeavors put out there. There's no reason to be against this. And like I said, if anybody is trying to rain on the parade, just let them be willfully ignorant to it, and spend more time talking about the things that you enjoy. Let them be angry, and we're going to enjoy the content. We're going to have it. It's going to be uncompromised, and we won. So guys, that's it. This was a long video. I hope some of you stuck around for this whole thing. This was great, getting to express some thoughts and put it all out there. I've been making crazy Instagram posts, blowing people up. I have been so petty on Instagram because we deserve it. We get to be a little petty. I'm posting a whole bunch of memes about the whole Snyder Cut thing, and it's fun. It's been a fun time. What do you guys think of this whole situation? What do you make of we're getting Justice League on HBO Max? We're gonna get that 5-hour assembly cut version of it. We're gonna get David Ayer's Suicide Squad as it was intended to be. Guys, just leave your thoughts down below. Hopefully I'll see you on that next video.